This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, guys. Welcome to GoOnlineTrainings.com. We're starting new Power BI batch on this Saturday morning, 8 o'clock. So if you have any friends, ask them to, attend the demo on Power BI as well as MSBI. Both topics I'm going to be covering. So if you have friends, recommend them. And I'll share the new meeting ID for the Saturday class. That is the demo class. You can ask them to attend. Am I clear? Now, we are discussing about storage modes of a cube. So, when I go to cube and go to the partitions, now we had created three partitions and we had storage modes here, right? So, what are the storage modes? We have three storage modes. If you wanted to change them, then you got to click on here. So, this is where you need to click on if you wanted to change this modes. Clear? So let us understand what is this storage mode, what is MOLAP, what is ROLAP. So a lot of things we're going to discuss now so that it's very, very important topic. When you click on storage settings, it is going to be opening a one more window. So we have MOLAP, then we have ROLAP and blah, blah, blah. Let us understand this one by one. Let me go back and tell you there are primarily two types of data in SSAS, summary data and detailed data. Clear? To store about data, there are three standard storage modes supported by the cube. One is called MOLAP, called as multi-dimensional OLAP. ROLAP means real-time OLAP. HOLAP means hybrid OLAP. Let us understand what is the meaning of this. So by default, you will be able to get MOLAP. This is the default mode in SSAS. So you have a lot of data in your data warehousing. For example, you have some data, let us say 10 you have and 20 you have. Clear? So when you process the cube, we are going to be processing the cube, right? So what will happen? It is going to be getting, this is a detailed data. This detailed data will be loaded to the cube database. Cube database. So this is data warehousing database. This is a cube multi-dimensional database. All this data is going to be loaded to the cube on top of that aggregation. What is aggregation? So 10 and 20 is going to be coming here as well as aggregation. What is total? 10 plus 20 is 30, right? This is one aggregation. This is sum. What is the average? So the average is 15, like that. It is going to be creating a lot of aggregations. So all these things are available in your cube database. Clear? And it is going to be aggregating the data, storing the data. So processing time will be very, very, more time it is going to be taking because it is going to be aggregating multi-dimensional data. Clear? So all the detailed data available, daily, monthly, yearly data, we are loading into the data warehousing. When you process, it's going to be creating a blank tables in your cube database, and it is called as unified data modeling. The approach is called as UDM, unified data modeling. What it does, what cube is going to be doing, getting all the data from the data warehousing. Clear? And storing into the cube database. Step number one. Step number two, it is going to be performing multi-dimensional aggregations. What do you mean by multi-dimensional aggregation? Any question you ask, the day aggregation is ready. For example, what is the sales in India? The aggregation is ready. What is the sales in India for Apple iPhone model number 11? The aggregation is ready. Then it'll ask you country-wise, in country-wise, state-wise, year-wise, month-wise, quarter-wise, what is the sales happened? The aggregations are ready. So it is going to be taking all dimensional data, fact table data, and creating a lot of aggregations. So processing will be very, very slow. But once the processing is done, all aggregations are ready. These people are going to create a lot of reports, right? So how do you use the data? You may be connecting to the Excel sheet, or you may be connecting to SSRS or Power BI. All the aggregated data is available here. So these reports are very, very fast. Clear? When you use MOLAP, what is slow? Cube processing is slow. Why? Because it is going to be doing lot of aggregations, right? For example, you wanted to prepare only one pizza. It will take less time. But you wanted to prepare 20 varieties of items. You wanted to have fruit salad, you wanted to have green salad, you wanted to have some dessert, yogurt, lot of items you wanted to prepare. So you will take a lot of time, right? So whatever be the data that I have it, I'm going to be dumping. For dumping purpose, I need time. Again, on top of this data, I'm going to be creating lot of aggregations. What kind of an aggregations? Multi-dimensional aggregations. You ask any food, the food is available on my dining table because I prepared it before you come it, right? It is a multi-dimensional, food is prepared by me. I have, at least taken 4 hours or 5 hours of time to prepare all these food varieties. That is what is called multi-dimensional aggregation. Not only what is the sales amount, you ask any question. I need quarter-wise, month-wise, year-wise, brand-wise, product-wise, category-wise, whatever be the totals you need, that is ready. Whatever be the food that you need, I have already prepared and kept ready. So you have to just come and eat the food and say enjoy. Clear? The reporting where you're going to be serving these aggregations, right? This is where the food is going to be taken consumed, right? So reports where the aggregations are going to be shown, and the end user is going to be consuming the food, consuming the data. He can see the sales very, very easily. The reports are very, very fast. Why? Because the aggregations are ready. The data is cooked already. It is already kept on the dining table. So dining table is your report, right? So you wanted to have it, whatever you would like to have it, you are very, very fast. So that is what you need to understand. Processing is slow, more space you need to have. Space is required. Why? Because you're storing not only the detailed data, you're also storing a lot of aggregations. So this is what is the process. So processing is slow, space is more. But what is the advantage? Advantage is called reporting is faster when you go in for OLAP mode. So this is the reason why people are going to be happy with this mode. MOLAP means multi-dimensional OLAP. What happens when you process it? So data warehouse data will be loaded to the cube database. Step number one. Step number two, all aggregations. What kind of an aggregations? Multiple, many permutations of combinations of aggregations will be made and going to be stored so that reporting is faster. So that is what you need to say. Clear? Cube process is slow because it's going to be cooking the data. So not only one item, it's going to be performing a lot of aggregations, right? So that is slow. And report reading is faster. Why? Because once the aggregations are done, I wanted to just show and where the sales is more. So sales can come with the detailed data, right? So detailed data means daily transactional data. You are buying, I am buying, I am paying $100, you are paying $200, but you and me, your data, my data will be the sales amount data for the Amazon company, right? So they need to aggregate your data, my data, like that. Individual data will get aggregated. They don't need whether Bhaskar has bought these many items. They don't look into the customers. They are looking into only the data and what is the sales happened in India or sales happened in America. So that's what they think about it. So report reading means we need to show the aggregated data. Since data is aggregated, which is very, very faster, storage capacity. So hard disk, the database data, whether it is a data warehousing data or a cube database data, it has to be stored somewhere. So all the database data is stored in hard disk. Remember, okay? Multi-dimensional cube database will be there. So where is the data? When you go to cube database, database means you need to understand it is going to be stored in the secondary memory. It is stored in the hard disk only. So where is the data of for Amazon? So which is a data warehousing or OLTP database. So where is the data? All this data is there in the hard disk, not in the RAM. Be clear, database is always hard disk. Because of this reason only, you create data, and after 100 years also, your data is safe. Why? It is not in the RAM, memory. Because memory means when you shut down the computer, the data will be deleted. So you don't see the data next day morning. Clear? Database data will be stored where? In your hard disk. Clear? So even cube data is going to be stored where? Hard disk. So it is going to be preparing a lot of aggregations. All the data is going to be stored where? In the hard disk. So storage means I'm talking about hard disk space. Clear? So this will be more. Now you have a issue here. What is the issue? I'll tell you. So what is the issue? I will tell you in MOLAP. So you have always advantages and disadvantages. For example, today I have data 10 and 20. So when you process, what will happen? It is going to be bringing 10 and 20. Now it is going to be aggregating. The total is 30. The report is shown. The sales as of now, total sales is $30 billion. Everybody is happy because they have processed the cube. Now, after 1 day or after 10 days, you are going to be loading the data with the help of ETL because SSAS package will run. ETL is going to be getting the data. Data got loaded. So one more five got added, one more five got added. Now, until and unless you process the cube, until and unless you process the cube, you don't see this data 10 plus 20, 30, 35, 40. You have to show in a reporting 40. So 40 will not come even though you refresh. Even though you refresh, reporting will always get 30. Why? Because until and unless you process, you don't get the data. Even though data is available in the data warehousing, if you don't process the data, you don't show the latest values. So there is a problem of latency, delay. What is the big issue? What is the big issue in your MOLAP is delay. What do you mean by delay? I loaded the data, let us say morning 6 o'clock. Morning 6 o'clock, I loaded the data today. So these two rows got loaded. But 9 o'clock, my manager comes and refresh the reports. Still he sees 30 only. 1 o'clock also he opens the report. He sees only 30. That is where the issue. Because until and unless you process the data, you don't see the 40. That is the big issue in MOLAP mode. Because I did not process it, I am not able to see the latest data. I am not able to see the latest data. So MOLAP at disadvantages, you have a latency issue. What do you mean by latency? Whenever you get the data into the data warehousing, immediately cube may process, or cube may process after 1 week or evening. Morning you are getting the data 6 a.m. The processing is scheduled in the next day morning or evening 6 p.m. the same day. So what will happen? These people have to wait for 12 hours. Clear? Daily morning 6 o'clock data comes, and daily evening 6 p.m. you're going to be processing the cube, because processing cannot happen every minute, because as you know it will take a lot of time to process. So you understand, right? Taking creating one pizza, it will take 1 hour. If you're creating 20 pizzas, what will happen? It will take minimum 10 to 20 hours. It is not very easy to prepare multi-dimensional aggregations on the large amount of data. So we cannot go simply click on process. So here we are able to do, because it is a 10 MB of data. In the real time, you have 5 terabytes of data. People would ask you, what is your data warehousing size? 5 terabytes of data we have, 10 terabytes of data we have. Every time processing 10 terabytes of data is not so easy. Clear? So if you get some new data to the data warehousing, you delay some processing. So you include data, you also include data tomorrow. 1 week you keep on loading, but Sunday only you're going to be processing. So what will happen? People have to wait till Sunday to get the fresh reporting. Clear? Only the problem with MOLAP is latency, delay. Clear? What do you mean by delay? Data warehousing getting the data every week or every month, until and unless you don't process the cube, or you may be processing the cube in the evening, you may be getting the data in the morning. So what happens is a delay here. So that is what is the MOLAP disadvantage. Clear? Automatically, the cube processing is not going to be happening. Am I clear, guys? Now, Microsoft is giving lot of other options to us. What are the options? Let me go and click on this. For example, I go to this. Now I go to storage modes. Now it is telling me MOLAP. Listen to this. Measure group data and aggregations are stored in multi-dimensional format. So what is the meaning? So measure group data, I mean detailed data I'm talking about. It is going to be stored here, and aggregations also stored in where? In this MOLAP format and the cube database. That is the first point. Second point, you read. Notifications are not received when the data changes. What is the meaning of this? Notifications are not read. And what is the meaning? We had earlier 10 and 20. We have processed the cube. We got 10 and 20. Then we have aggregated, and reporting also we are showing 30. When the new data loaded with 5 and 5, this guy does not know that this data is loaded. So no intimation saying that data warehouse is getting new data. There is no alarm. There is no notification to whom? To the cube database, to the SSAS engine, saying that data is coming. For example, whenever we get any new items in the shop, they'll display the boards, new arrivals, new stock, new arrivals. They'll display the notification so that you get alert and buy, right? So like that, data warehousing is not shouting, hey guys, I got a data, I got a data. Is it not shouting? Clear? So it does not know that the new data is arrived. So that is the meaning. So I don't have any clue. I don't have any clue. Who's saying that? Processing must be either scheduled or performed manual because notifications are not received when the data changes. Clear? So this is the point. I don't know who's telling. SSAS is telling, hey, I don't know that data warehousing got new data. Processing must be either scheduled or performed manually. So what we do? We have to schedule, or we need to go to this process and manually you can process the cube. Clear? So, or you can also go to your SQL server. You can right click on the database and you should be able to go to your database. You should be able to process here as well. Somewhere you need to process. So when you're clicking on a process, what is going to be happening? It is going to the data warehousing. First, it will delete all the data from the cube database. Okay, it will delete all the data from the cube database, which is going to go to the data warehousing, copies again all fresh data to the cube, and going to perform all aggregations. Then you will be able to see everywhere. Earlier we had 30, this time we will be having 40 because we have processed the cube. Am I clear? So either you can process using this, or the database developers will go right click on this. They should be able to process here as well. Clear? So that is what we should do. When you go here and try to click on storage settings, it is telling me, Bhaskar, I have these much difficulties. I don't know that you people have already got data. Now I change the setting. I'm saying scheduled MMOLAP. Oh, listen to me. What is that? Measure group data and aggregations are stored in multi-dimensional format. What is the meaning? So all the data from here is going to come and stored in the cube database. Fine. And aggregations also done. Fine. Now, second point, notifications are not received when the data changes where? In the data warehousing, right? So when the data comes in here, I don't know who's saying. SSAS engine is saying, I don't know whether data warehousing getting new data or not. But what is the next option? Processing is automatically performed every 24 hours. Clear? Whether you get new data in the data warehouse or not, I don't know. But simply I go and I process every 24 hours. If I process now, tomorrow again same time I'm going to be processing. What is the disadvantage and advantage here? You need to wait for 24 hours to get the new updations in the report. For example, I loaded the data. So how many hours I need to wait? 24 hours you need to wait to process the cube. Why? Because new aggregations can happen there. Clear? So that is what is called MOLAP scheduled. 24 hours you need to wait. Clear, guys? Are you able to read this line? That's what. So I'm saying, okay, that is fine. What is this option? This option is automatic MOLAP. Measure group data, that is fine. The second point, the server will listen for notifications when data changes. So automatically, when the data modification happens here, immediately SSAS comes to know. That is how the SQL server and these people will have some kind of a mutual understanding that we do not know. When you change this setting, automatically lot of code will be written internally. So the server will listen for the notifications when the data changes. So immediately when the new data comes in, for example, we had earlier 10 and 20, and the same data is available here 10 and 20, then aggregation is also done here. In your reporting it is showing 30. Now when the new data 5 comes, immediately the notification will go. So when the notification goes, what happens? Immediately you are going to be processing is performed automatically within no restrictions, immediately, without any delay. Immediately cube is going to be processed. So you need not do anything. You need not go and right click on this say process. Whether you forget, you are absent, you are on leave, the application automatically will get processed. So that is the beauty about this one. But there's an issue also. Okay, because every time whenever you process, the processing will take 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. So you don't have any control. When the data changes at the data warehouse, okay, immediately the process starts. So people may not be happy because when it is processing, it will take 4 hours. So then the cube will not be accessible by anybody else because when you go to ATMs, so they're feeding with the cash. Can you just go there and take out the amount? They'll say we are feeding the cash there. Please wait for 1 hour. So when the cube is getting processed, the reports will not get refreshed. Report will say cube under process. Please wait. So reporting everything will get stopped abruptly. So that will be a big issue for the end users to look into the issue, look into the reports. Am I clear? So the issue is that the issue is that processing must be either scheduled or performed manually. That is the issue. Okay. So here when you say automatic, processing performed automatically with no restrictions. Now let me go back to the next one. Medium latency. Everything is fine. The server will listen for notifications when the data changes. Processing is performed automatically with the target latency of 4 hours. Clear? If you get the data, so after 4 hours, it is going to be processing. So that is the point. Now here, low latency. Latency means a delay, late. Okay. So the server will listen for notifications when the data changes. When the data is arrived after the arriving the data, it is going to be processing 30 minutes after the receiving the data. Processing is performed automatically with a target latency of 30 minutes. Clear? For example, if you send the data, now the time is almost 8:45. So 9:15, the processing will happen. Clear? So again, you don't get the data for another 2 hours or 3 hours. Again, you get the data at 2 o'clock. So after 2 o'clock means after 30 minutes, 2:30, you are going to be having second processing. Clear? It is not going to be happening anything here. So you have to wait for 30 minutes. If the data changes, the notifications are visible. So these are the MOLAP modes. But this is the first one is notifications are received, processing must be done scheduled or performed manually. So we cannot automate the first one. We have to wait for manual processing. So these are automatic processings. Clear? So that is what you need to understand. Clear? What is the problem of MOLAP? I told you the problem as MOLAP is if you're getting the fresh data, until and unless you process the cube, you don't get the fresh data in the reporting. So you see a lot of latency. For example, I get the data on Monday, I don't process the cube till Sunday. What happens? Nobody knows that the fresh say Okay, what is the fresh data aggregations? Fresh data sales, I cannot see it here. So you will see the aggregation still last week. Current week data already loaded to the data warehousing, but it is not yet arrived into the cube database. So only problem with MOLAP is if you don't process the cube, you don't see the latest figures, latest sales. That is what is the biggest problem in your MOLAP. Clear? Because MOLAP cube, it is not automatically scheduled. We have a schedule options because the ready-made, when you click on the storage mode, which is a manual mode, okay, 90% of the time you will be able to see this mode only. So notifications are not received and the processing must be either scheduled or performed. Okay. So when you go to this, click on storage settings. For this also, again, same thing, default mode. When you go to this and click on the storage settings, for this also, this is the default setting. This is what we're going to be using. So other settings are automatic stuff. Clear? Now, the problem I told you, right? What is the problem? The problem is even though data changes in the data warehouse, you cannot see the data. If I wanted to see the data, somebody has to either schedule or process, or you need to change these options. Clear? But if you forget to process and report in the management, the managers will shout, "Hey Bhaskar, process the cube. Hey Bhaskar, process the cube. I cannot see the latest data." So people will shout at you if you don't process it. Then what you do? Instead of doing that, so I wanted to have the next level whole app. Clear? So in this case, what happens? In this case, what happens? I have some data, 10 and 20 here. When I process the cube, I am not going to be putting this data into here. So the detailed data is not going to come. Only aggregation, 10 and 20 is 30. So aggregation is 30. And it is not going to be making all permutations and combinations of aggregations. Some important aggregation it's going to be making. For example, you're preparing a 20 items for your guest. What will happen? More budget, more time, and they'll also heat heavily, right? So instead of having 20 items, you prepare some 6 to 7 items. So what is the advantage? Less budget, and you can complete the cooking in less time, and the cube is also ready. And what is the food you're likely to prepare? Whatever they eat more, so only those items. For example, if they like grilled chicken, you prepare. If they like a green salad, you prepare that. If they have some dessert, you may prepare. If they wanted to have some cake, you will have. So you don't prepare all the items. What is the advantage? The space on the dining table will get reduced, the less time, and you have the food which they're likely to eat. Only that food is ready. So it is not multi-dimensional. Multi-dimensional means what? I don't want to prepare all aggregations here. Only few aggregations I'm going to be making. I am moderate faster, so I can have it here. Okay, I can have it here. For example, you're asking some food. You have prepared 7 dishes or 10 dishes, and your guest is asking, "I need that item. Is it available with you?" Then you say, "I did not prepare, but if you need it, I will prepare it." So, for example, I need some other aggregations. So, for example, I have a what is the total sales amount. So that aggregation is ready. What I don't have, I wanted to have for the product called MI mobile phone. And India, there's a city called Hyderabad in 2017, October month. What is the sales? Can you just tell me? So that item is not cooked, not aggregated, because people may not ask that kind of a questions. People may ask, tell me the year-wise sales, month-wise sales, quarter-wise sales, like something like that. Okay, but I am asking some, different calculation. So MI brand mobile phone model number 1234 in India, a city called Hyderabad on October, and last weekend, what is the sales? So that is what I would like to have it. So that aggregation is may not be ready. The guest is asking some food that may not be ready in your dining table, but you tell them that no worries, I'm going to prepare. So what will happen here? So when the aggregation is not ready, you will go to the data warehousing. Who's going to be going to the data warehousing? The cube is going to go to the data warehousing, picks up the data, and it is going to be aggregating again, going to be giving it. So some reports are faster, some reports or some aggregations are faster because some already you have prepared some 5 dishes or 10 dishes. If they need the food out of them, they can eat fastly. But if they need some customization, they need more varieties, then you tell them that no worries, we have a chef, he's going to be preparing, just wait for 20 minutes, I'll give you the best soup, you can have it. So the report is slow for some items. Clear? Because whole app means what? Hybrid means for some data the reports are ready, for some data is ready in the data warehouse, I'll go back and do the processing, I will be able to show. The advantage is that you may have new data comes in here, you also have the new data comes in here. Since I don't have much more aggregations, I can get the new data and prepare lot of aggregations, and I can show them the data as well. So that is what whole app means. Not all the aggregations are done, some data will be available in the data warehousing, and data warehousing keep on changing once in a week, once in a year. If the aggregation is not ready, what I do, I go back and prepare the dish. If the guest is not happy with the what I have prepared, so I'll ask them, what is that you would like to have? I want to have a grilled fish with something else. Grilled fish I never prepared, but it is I can prepare, just give me 30 minutes of time, I can prepare the dish and give it to you. So that is where we'll go to the the detailed data, we get the latest data, and we're going to be organizing and preparing. So some of the reports, these are faster, and some of the reports it may be slow because the data is not, yet prepared and kept ready in your whole app. So that is what is the next point that you must understand. Am I clear? So anytime, so that is the next one, the whole app. So queue processing is medium. Why? All aggregations I need not prepare. 20 items, 20 food varieties I need not prepare as a chef. I prepare only 10 items. So if they need, I can prepare on the fly. That is the meaning of this. Okay. Report reading is medium because some reports faster, some reports aggregations are missing. You have to go back to the data warehouse, and storage also. I'm not going to be using lot hard disk. I'm not going to be using a dining area. I'm not going to be using much more dining area because I'm preparing less dishes. Clear? So that is what is called a whole app. The last one is role app, relational OLAP. Clear? Cube processing is no, report reading is low, storage is no. So sometimes people would ask you, okay, I have 10, I have 20 here. Okay.
Yes, the
Now in this, you will be able to get 10 and 20. Yeah, tell me any question. If you have a question, ask me. So I'm talking about the last one. So 10 and 20 is it, the data comes, it is going to be processing. And then the reporting level, I'm showing 30 to the management. Now the manager is asking, so the data changes. After some time, the data will come here. So again, you need to process the cube. If you don't process the cube, you will have an issue, right? You don't get the fresh, 35, it will not come here. So people have to wait here. But what management is saying, as soon as the data comes here, as soon as the data comes here, I wanted to see the latest data. Clear? So I don't want to, I don't want to get the data. I don't want to process the data. I don't want to wait for a lot of time here. So as soon as the data comes here, I wanted to see the real time data as it is, or I wanted to see the relational data. So data which is available in the relational, I wanted to see as soon as the data comes here, I wanted to see 35. I don't want to use this, in between aggregations and something like this. So that is what is called real time, because if I wanted to see the data, whatever be the data that is there at that point, it is going to be giving. Clear? So you need not wait for any latency. That is what is called rollup. So here, what will happen? Only the dimensional data will here. Cube process will not happen. Clear? What will happen? So for example, you have data here. You have 10 and 20. 10 and 20, the data is available here. So it is not going to be processing anything. It is a dummy. Clear? For example, you need some report. Whenever you drag and drop something, I would like to see the data. This fellow will go here. What is that you need? I need total sales amount. So on the fly, it will go, it will pick up the data. So you may have 10 and 20, or you have 10, 20, then later you got 5, then later you got 2. So all the data 10 plus 20, 30, 35, 37. So the latest data you can see it here without having any kind of a processing, because it is not going to process anything. So whenever you drag and drop any report will have MDX query, right? So select sales amount by branch name. I would like to get. So the MDX query will be converted into SQL query. It will go and on the fly it is going to be aggregating data. What is the meaning? I have billions of data in my fact table. I am taking row by row, row by row, row by row, and I am going to be performing a summing operation. Because of this, processing will be very, very slow. Why? Because I did not store the data. Because if I'm storing data here, I may have different figures. I don't want to have the different figures. I should not have latency. Every time when the data comes in, when the data comes here, automatically I click on a button, I click on a report, the report will go, and report will get the latest data, and it is going to be processing on the fly. I don't prepare any food. You go and order the food, I'll prepare the food. So that is the meaning. So what is that? I don't need time because chef is ready with the raw vegetables, raw chicken. So you just go there and ask, I need this, I need that, I need this. So fresh, cooking will happen in front of you. What is the problem? The problem is you have to wait. Who has to wait? The manager has to wait. If it is a complicated process, will take a lot of time. You need to wait for 30 minutes in the restaurant so that the chef is making the food in front of you, right? Otherwise, they can also make the food ready. You just go there and eat the food. That is what is called multi-dimensional. Already food is varieties. Buffet. Buffet, you have 20 to 30 varieties of food is available. That is the best example of multi-OLAP. Clear? So on the fly, you go to the restaurant, you order the food. That is what is called a roll app. He is going to be taking whatever be the items are available at the point in time. He will be taking and preparing on the fly. You have to wait here. Reports will be slow. No food is prepared before you come in, because cube will not have any data, no processing, no cube, nothing will be there. Simply you go to the restaurant, you order the food, the chef is going to be preparing on the fly. You will get the fresh food. But OLAP data, hybrid data, MOLAP data is old food. Old food means already morning or yesterday night they prepared the food. What is the advantage of MOLAP? You means the guest can go eat the food and come back from the hotel or the restaurant very, very quickly. In the RO lab, you are very, very slow. You're lucky if you come in 30 minutes. You're unlucky if it is taking 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours of time. RO lab means we don't process anything, we don't keep anything here. Clear? Everything is available in data warehousing. So you click on some MDX query. MDX query will get converted into SQL query. SQL query will go and will take the data on the fly. It is going to be processing the thing. So nothing is available in your cube. Cube is simply dummy. So that is what we got to understand. Clear? It use a lot of indexed views in data warehousing to increase the performance, blah, blah, blah. Process the dimensional need, not process the facts. All the MDX queries need to be converted as SQL queries, and queries processing time is more. In simple understanding, it does not have anything. As soon as you go to the restaurant, this fellow will go and prepare the food by taking the raw vegetables, raw chicken, raw fish. I am going to be making the items. So less storage to, in my dining area, and the customer is very, very unhappy because it will take a lot of time to prepare the food. Clear, but you will get a fresh food. That is what is the option that you have to know. Clear? No, we need not process. We need not cook any food before the guest comes. Report reading is very, very slow. No storage. If I'm not preparing any food, so my dining area is completely empty. My kitchen is also completely empty because I did not prepare any food. Clear? That is what is called roll app. But the advantage is that if they need something, they can get the fresh data because they're not storing anywhere. 20, 30, 20 plus 30, 10 plus 20, 30 is there. Now you have 5 and 5, two more numbers got loaded. So you will have a fresh data always, will have real time data. I can see it. Clear? If the data getting modifications in the source level, the same data is being loaded into the data warehousing level. So I need not wait for the process to happen because no process in this situation. Simply, whenever I click on this, I got the fresh data. So, but the problem is that I have to wait. I have to wait because a large amount of data will be available in the data warehousing. Clear? And so multiple times we are going to be using only MOLAP. Remaining things we are not going to use at all in the real time. Now you have to understand one more thing. So when you go there, this is one interview equation. So when you go to MOLAP and click on options, so enable proactive caching. So what is the meaning of enable proactive caching? This is the one people may be asking this. So what will happen? For example, I am getting the data. Okay, let me go back. I'm I have 10 here, I have 20 there. The 10 and 20 will get loaded to the MOLAP. It'll go into the loaded to this database and aggregation. One aggregation only I'm showing, but you need to understand multi-dimensional aggregations are done. So the data is showing in the here. Now after some time I get this 5. I get this 5. What I do? I process. I process immediately or I process after 1 hour, 2 hours, evening, Sunday. When I process this, what happens? When I process this, so the end user will not get this 30 because it is going to be locked and it is going to be removing all the data from it. It is erasing. It is going to be deleting all the data and going and loading again fresh data. 10 and 20, again 5 and 5. Everything will be reloaded and recalculations are done. So when it is deleting the data and reloading the data, process means it is deleting then loading. So delete, loading and processing, these are the steps. Delete all the data from the cube database first, load all the data from the data warehousing later, then process it. Now if I delete some data, unfortunately what happens, the report, people who are using the report, they will get a message. What is the message they'll get? Cube under a process, you cannot view the cube under process, you cannot view the cube because it is going to be deleting all the data. When you delete all the data, suddenly the people who are using the report, reading the report at that time, they'll get an error saying that report under process, please wait, or please come to this report after some time. So that is the issue. So when I enable proactive caching, what SSAS is going to be doing, instead of it is deleting the data here, it is preparing a cache. Cache means RAM. Okay, whatever be the old data that we had, that will be pushed to, and it is visible. So even the cube is getting processed, all the data from the aggregations will push to the cache, and you can see. And in meanwhile, it is going to be aggregating, and it will get the data 40. Okay, when it is getting the data 40, automatically deletes it, and it will give the establish the connection to this. So when you refresh the cube, you're going to be pointing to 40 now. You can see the data clear. So instead of deleting the data from here, when you say enable proactive caching, so the old records, old aggregations will be moved to the cache. So I will be giving a connection to this. So the report can get the data from my cache. So later when I'm ready, when they refresh, when the report is refreshed, so I will be reconnecting to this and getting the fresh data to that. Okay. So this is what is called enable proactive caching. Clear, guys? So all these things will happen automatically, but you should know that this option exists in your this. Clear? So tomorrow we will continue with some other topic. So this is what is called partitions. Okay. Tomorrow we'll see what is aggregations and all, and later we also will do the cube deployment. How can we deploy this cube? Because we have created this cube. We have created this cube in my laptop. So tomorrow I wanted to have this cube in the production environment, right? So developer is going to be preparing the cube and everything in his laptop. So developer machine will not have a data warehousing database. Developer will have a dummy database. However, I am using a dummy database. So you will have a dummy database, but original data warehousing will be there in the production server. So you need to create a cube and deploy the cube to the production server. So that is what we are going to be doing, deploying the SSAS cube from development machine to the production machine. Clear? And we are connecting the cube to the production data warehousing. So production data warehouse will have millions of data. My cube, my database will have only 1,000 records. That's it, because it is a dummy database. Clear? So you have to deploy the cube and you need to connect the cube to the original data warehousing. And again, you need to process the cube, and the processing also need to be scheduled, right? So DBA team or any other team will not go morning, evening, right click and schedule. That is not the way. We have to automatically, we need to schedule it automatically. So every Sunday, the data, the processing should happen. So Cube is processing means before that you have to run the ETL packages. When the SSIS runs, SSIS is going to be getting the data to the Cube. So that you can do it on Saturday. Saturday you will get the fresh data from OLTP to data warehouse. Now Saturday when the data is ready, Sunday night or Sunday morning you process the cube. So whole Sunday the cube will be processed. So Monday when the management comes, the fresh reports are ready with the fresh calculations, right? So like that, before the cube process, you need to run ETL jobs, SSIS jobs. Clear? Because SSIS is the one who's going to be getting the data from the OLTP systems. So data warehousing will get the new data on Saturday or Sunday. If the Sunday you're doing it, so whole Sunday you spend time to load the data, and early Monday morning, early morning 1 o'clock, early morning 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, you process the cube. Let it process for 5 hours also. 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. So 8 o'clock your cube is ready. When the company CEO everybody comes by morning 8 o'clock to the office, the fresh reporting is calculations are ready. They can see the latest data. Clear? So that is how the schedules are going to be happening in the real time. We are not going to process anything. We are not going to be dumping anything. Automatically, SSIS jobs are scheduled. After that, we're going to be scheduling cube jobs as well. How to deploy, how to give a new connections to the existing data warehouse in the production. Then later, how can we schedule the processing of a cube also? We'll discuss in tomorrow's class. Thank you, guys. So today's class is very, very important. People would ask you what is the difference between MO lab, RO lab, HO lab. You have to tell them clearly.